Hello, Bernard. How are you today?
Fine, Dr. Priscilla. I'm ready for the lesson.
All right. Well, it's good to have you here with me today. Today, we're going to read Visiting the Forbidden City, Level 3 from News and Levels. Could you start reading for me? Visit
Yes,
Forbidden City.
yes. During organized tours, tourists can visit a former Nazi compound 40 kilometers from Berlin called the Forbidden City. 20,000 people visit near here every day, every year to learn about Nazi military history. The Nazis and the Soviets were militarily active at the compound, which was kept secret in a forest and behind a fence. The Nazis hid underground bunkers in country homes, and they planned much of WW2 here. After WW2, when the Soviet Union was in charge of East Germany, the Soviets used the complex as a home for 40,000 soldiers and as a cultural center with a theater, a museum, shopping areas, and a swimming pool. In 1994, the Soviets left and took everything with them. The state of Brandenburg now owns the complex. Difficult words, compound, a series of buildings of one property and a wall around the property. Former, existing in the past.
Okay, very nice reading. This WW2, that's World War II. World War II.
Okay, World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And the Nazis hid underground bunkers. What does it mean, hid? Dig?
Oh, to not be able to see.
Yes. We can't imagine that there was a bunkers in this part of the city. Okay,
Mhm.
okay, okay,
Okay, so you have hid, hide, and hidden.
okay, I understand.
All right. So I will read also. For visiting the Forbidden City, forbidden means not permission, no permission to do something.
Okay,
During organized tours, tourists can visit a former Nazi compound 40 kilometers from Berlin called the Forbidden City. 20,000 people visit near here every year to learn about Nazi military history. The Nazis and the Soviets were militarily active at the compound, which was kept secret in a forest and behind a fence. The Nazis hid underground bunkers in country homes, and they planned much of World War II here. After World War II, when the Soviet Union was in charge of East Germany, the Soviets used the complex as a home for 40,000 soldiers and as a cultural center with a theater, a museum, shopping areas, and a swimming pool. In 1994, the Soviets left and took everything with them. The state of Brandenburg now owns the complex. Difficult words: compound, a series of buildings on one property and a wall around the property. Former, existing in the past. So, Bernard, now that I have read, you have read, can you summarize this article for me?
oh, I'm going to try. It seems that during the World War II, the Nazis dig under a city, a
Mm-hmm.
normal city, they dig underground to create a compound hidden from the other people in order to
It's hidden from other people in order to.
in order to welcome 40,000 soldiers and try to continue the war underground.
Let's say maybe you're saying it, but I think I'm hearing it, but not necessarily correctly. So during World War II, right? The Nazis hid. They hid their homes. They slept there. They ate there. They hid themselves underground in a big hole, okay, where they could walk around and hide the soldiers. However, at the end of the war or after the war, when the war is over,
Ah, yes. It was the Soviet Union who took charge of the bunkers.
Yeah, it's after, and they used it as a home for 40,000 soldiers and as a culture center with a theater. So they weren't staying there to fight anymore. This is after. This is after World War II. That 40,000 soldiers were there living. In addition to living there, they had a museum. You could go shopping, and there was a swimming pool. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And then
it's strange because underground there was a complex, a compound, and on the ground there was a village, a normal village, I suppose, in order to hide the underground complex.
Right, but remember, there are three things that has happened, okay, in this video, in this recording. The first thing is, one, the hull was used for war purposes.
Yes.
That's the first thing. Then the second thing was, after the war was over, after the war, the hull was used for people to live, shop, and find amusement.
Yes.
Okay. And then the third thing that happened, let's see.
Today,
I'm not sure what Brandenburg is, because that sounds like it is also in Germany, but Brandenburg now owns the complex.
Yes.
Complex or compound.
Yes. And it became a museum, I suppose.
Right. Well, no. It's a museum up here in number two. The state of when in number two, when it's a shopping center. In number two, it's a shopping center and a swimming pool. Yes. This is like a recreational area.
Yes.
But then when that period was over, they probably dismantled the shopping centers. I don't know, they got rid of the water. But now that the Soviets are gone, the state of Brandenburg now owns the complex. Maybe they will have it as a museum, as a place to just go in and see, because what we're looking at now, maybe in this image here, we can see a person walking around in there. So maybe they made it back into a museum where people can go in and walk.
I suppose it was not very happy. It was not a very good place to live when there were 40,000 German soldiers in this hall.
Well, at this particular time, though, it's number two. The soldiers brought their families. there. So they were living a natural life. What I think I would find uncomfortable is to live underground without the sun, the water, the rain.
Mm.
I think I would find that unbearable,
Oh, yes.
but I'm not sure.
Okay.
There is a concentration museum. Um, I think it's Germany's the Holocaust. That is a natural museum where people were housed and burnt during the time of Hitler. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So I think that this is something similar to that. People go there, walk through, and experience what others have experienced.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think there's some slave museums that we could go to and experience what it was like during the time of slavery, where slaves, people of color, or African people were sold on a compound or on a block or a podium. So that could be a form of something that has happened and they've used the remains to share with the world, maybe.
Yes. And you said that there's some museum in the USA like this.
Well, not necessarily like this, but I'm saying that during the time of slavery, that now is historical monuments or erected or on display. When slaves were sold, for example, there might be a place, there is a place in South Carolina that displays how slaves were sold. Do you understand?
Yes, yes. I think we have the same thing in France in the area of Bordeaux. At this time of slavery, most of the nave, most of the ship will left Bordeaux, it's a big city, to
Mm-hmm.
go to Africa.
Okay.
And during the presidency of Hollande, there was a museum created, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I will look that in the internet to
Okay.
remember.
All right. So we have the Forbidden City, meaning that it is a place where people now go to tour and visit.
Mm.
And that's where, I guess it's saying that that's where you can find more of the military history of the
Mm.
Nazi
Yes.
in what is called the Forbidden City. All right. Any questions about what we've read, what you've heard?
No, I understood the article, but it seemed a strange story because it's difficult for me to imagine that people could live underground and have a theater and have a swimming pool underground. I don't see what's the pleasure of this.
Yeah, I don't know, me either, but perhaps it became a place that there were little expenses and the government of the people allowed individuals to come there. I can only imagine during World War II, there was a lot of destruction of property, of homes, and people didn't have a place to live.
Mm-hmm.
So this big space underground was available for anyone who wanted to live there
Okay.
in this compound. And for a while, the soldiers and their families came there to live because World War II was full of destruction and it destroyed a lot of homes.
Yes.
And maybe while they were trying to rebuild their lives, they were able to stay and live in this underground area, maybe.
Yes.
All right. So there we have that. I'm going to stop sharing and come back to where you are. Stop recording.